What's up everybody, my name's Arcane Keyblade and today we are back with another Kingdom Hearts character profile and we are again winding down. This will be the third to last character profile for the organization members, and past that I might actually make a video asking what characters y'all actually want me to do for the rest of these character profiles, because there are some characters that don't exactly have a huge part in the series, but they do have an effect on certain parts of the games. But nonetheless, we are doing Xaldin today, the 6-man Lancer. I actually thought about doing him second to last would make more sense, but I decided to do him now. But he is badass and one of those characters that even though he's highly ranked in the organization, doesn't actually get that much screen time. But that's enough talking, let's get into his profile.
When Kingdom Hearts is ours, we can exist fully and completely.
Xaldin is one of the higher ups in the organization, being number 3, and his whole self is named Dilan. Yet even though he is a higher up, like I just said, we don't get a whole lot from him throughout the games. But he does appear in 358 by 2 days, Kingdom Hearts 2, his whole self in Birth by Sleep and Dreamed Up Distance, and then Xaldin also appears in the manga too, and is playable in 358 by 2 days multiplayer. But his story starts in 358 by 2 days, where we actually do get to see a decent amount more from him than a lot of the characters from the organization in the game, where alongside helping Roxas on missions, he takes an interest in Beast's castle and in Beast in general, thinking of how he could use Beast and turn him into a Heartless, and we can see this plan come to fruition in Kingdom Hearts 2, where he uses the flower and Belle as a way of building Beast's anger and attempting to turn him into a Heartless. Yet Sora, Donald, and Goofy stop this and they fight and then defeat Xaldin, and then he disappears. And besides Beast's castle, he only appears in the round room taking part in meetings on deciding how to handle Sora and Roxas, and then he appears in Hollow Bastion with the other organization members. And that is pretty much it for Xaldin's story, very short. But for Dilan, he was a guard for Ansem the Wise of the castle in Radiant Garden alongside Elois, where they stopped Ventus from entering the castle who was looking for Mickey. Yet Unverse appeared, and as they were going to fight, Evan comes to stop them from leaving and told them that they needed to protect the castle. Later we see him bring back Terranort and the Keyblade armor aside him, and then we see them throwing out Lee and Isa out of the castle. Yet one big thing later, he helped to banish Ansem the Wise to the realm of darkness after Ansem the Wise attempted to stop his 6 apprentices, including Dilan, from continuing research on the darkness inside hearts. And Terranort soon removed the apprentices' hearts along with Isa and Lee to make them all into nobodies in the first organization 13 members. In a Dreamed Up Distance, as his Heartless and Nobody were both defeated, Xaldin reappears as his whole self, Dilan, in Ansem Lab alongside many of the other members. Yet he is unstable and does not awaken and is resting for the rest of the game. And that is his backstory, but as a non-canon from the manga, he is defeated by a replica that looks like Vexen by Vexen after Xaldin is defeated by Sora, where he returns to the world that never was, and he accuses that replica of trying to turn on the organization since Vexen was destroyed in the Castle Oblivion, and the replica then destroys Xaldin in self-defense. And finally, he is voiced by David Diane Fisher in English and voiced by Yosuke Akimoto in Japanese, and that is it for his background. Xaldin seems to be sort of a loner, you could say, but I would more say he's an independent worker where he focuses on his own plans. And with his focus on Beast, we can see how evil and maybe sadistic he is, seeming to enjoy creating anger inside Beast and wanting to taunt and create anguish inside Sora and Beast. Yet he seems to be very smart, yet impatient, seen when trying to understand how Beast works and what makes Beast feel pain, and does a lot of scouting to figure it out, and seems to have no patience for Roxas and his mission. He also despises laziness and likes to take action and to fight. And lastly, we see his uncaring for the heart, and in general feeling emotion, looking down on the love a Beast has for Belle and Belle has for Beast, stating that love never lasts. As for Dilan, he is a lot more noble than his nobody self, who takes pride in protecting the castle, yet he still has his seemingly brooding nature and lacking a ton of emotion. And with his design, again, like other organization members, he has the organization jacket, but for his actual design, he can be noted to be larger than most members with very broad shoulders, and he has black long dreads that flow around with him when he's fighting, and he has very thick sideburns that curve up, and purple eyes, and very intense eyebrows, and face in general. And lastly, he does wear earrings too. As for Dilan's design wise, he looks very similar to Xaldin, except his dreads seem to be more contained, and for his outfit, he seems to be wearing a grayish blue guard uniform with white lining, gold buttons, and black boots with white gloves, where both the uniform and the gloves have hearts on them, where the one on his uniform is red. His main weapons that he uses are 6 lances called Lindworm, which are purple, but with the organization symbol on the ends, that he uses to attack with wind, and he usually carries up to 3 in his hands, and uses the wind to attack with the others. And he attacks with strong, fast blows, and some that attack from above to strike down over and over. He can also shoot either energy or air orbs, and also goes into an invincible form where he attacks much faster, and he can ride his lances and then shoot a strong air beam at his enemies, using the wind as a shield too. In 358 by 2 days, he has a limit break called Dragoon Storm, where he spins with his lances around, hitting enemies with them and also pushing them away. In his final limit, he jumps up and slams on an enemy and does a lot of damage. He does have a nobody that he commands, and it's called Dragoon, who looks sort of like dragon-like beings who only wield 1 lance, and also they are a reference to the Dragoon job class from Final Fantasy. Also, Dilan, he only seems to wield 1 lancer that has a heart at the end instead of the nobody symbol. Lastly, being one of the higher ranked organization members, he can also be noted to be one of the stronger members. And by many players, this is one battle many have trouble with. But one thing to note is that he has a reaction command that you can use on him called Jump, which is probably the best way to defeat him. And that is it for his profile. For being so cruel and evil, I always thought he looked badass, and his fighting style in battles, aside from being slightly difficult, he is a fun fight nonetheless. But that is it. What do you think of him? And we are coming down to the final 2 profiles for the organization members. Next will be Luxios, and lastly will he be the boss himself, Ximnus. But that is it, and I will see you all next time. Peace out.